Hello and welcome to today's lesson, where we're looking at how to answer the interview question, "Tell me about yourself." At the end of this video, you will have a simple formula you can use to answer this question, along with 2 example answers you can play with to craft your own perfect response to this question. So why is it particularly important to be able to provide a good answer to the question, "Tell me about yourself"? Well, research shows that 63% of hiring managers decide if they want to hire you within the first 10 minutes. So the importance of a good first impression can't be overstated. And as "tell me about yourself" is often one of the first questions an interviewer will ask you, it's really important to know how to answer it in a way that will show you off in the best light. So that you can provide your best answer to the "tell me about yourself" question, it's good to understand what interviewers are looking for when they ask you this question. There are many things they're trying to achieve, including that they recognize you might be nervous, so the question gives you and them a way to ease into the interview. It helps the interviewer get to know you. What you say will likely provide the interviewer with questions to ask you about next. And it offers an opportunity for you to communicate that you have the right skills for the role. So here's a simple 4-step formula to answer this question so that your answer is concise, tells your story, and highlights your biggest achievements to date. Now, many interview experts will tell you that when you're asked this question, you should walk through your resume. But I don't recommend that, as it's of little value to anyone simply to rehash the contents of your resume, especially as the interviewer probably has it sitting in front of them. Instead, this formula helps you focus on what's great about you, your career wins to date, and why they should hire you. Think of it as your elevator pitch that shows you've got the right skills, experience, and attitude to be a great match for this job. So the 4 steps are: first, state who you are professionally, then highlight your key achievements, then optionally add a personal passion, and finally explain why you were here. So let's look at each of these 4 steps in a bit more detail. So step 1, state who you are professionally. Here you simply want to describe your experience in a broad way. So a good example would be to say, "I'm an IT professional with 12 years of experience across all aspects of coding, backed up by a formal education in computer science." What you don't want to say is something like, "Well, I first got into computers when I was 8 years old. Of course, I was primarily interested in playing Super Mario back in those days. Oh, actually, I have a funny story about playing Super Mario." Next, we have highlight your key achievements. So here you state the outcomes you've achieved that you are most proud of in your career. Start by focusing on your current or most recent job, and then touch upon just a few key achievements from previous roles. You don't want to send your interviewer to sleep, so state no more than 2 to 5 key achievements. Now, this is your chance to show your experience and passion and back up your claims with evidence. So for a good example, you might say, "In my last role as a programmer at Globocore, I spotted a big inefficiency in how the code worked. I'm passionate about things working in the most efficient way, and so I used my initiative to get the support of management to get it resolved. The end result was that the company saved a lot of money, and I got promoted." Now, a bad example of how to highlight your key achievements is, "I'm a programmer, so I don't have much authority or autonomy. I work on the billing system, doing what my internal customer asks me to do." Step 3 is to add a personal passion. So if you have an interesting aspect of your life that isn't directly related to the role, but which demonstrates a personality trait that is related to the role, then now is your time to mention it. So, for example, if you're an amateur athlete, you might highlight that your commitment to training demonstrates your discipline, or if you're a member of an amateur dramatics club, you might highlight that it shows that you are a real people person and love being around people. So do say something like, "Something that you might not know about me, but might find interesting, is that I've been volunteering at a homeless centre for 10 years. I do it because I want to give back to the community." Don't say something like, "I'm a member of an amateur dramatics club. I joined because I don't have many friends." And the final step is to explain why you are here today in this interview. This is an opportunity for you to say what excites you about the position you're applying for. So you might want to say something like this: even though I love what I do currently, I'm here today because I'm looking to challenge myself even further. When I saw your position advertised, I genuinely thought it looked like a very exciting opportunity. Try to avoid sounding too negative, so don't say something like, I don't get along with my current boss, so I'm looking around to see what else is available. Now, before we look at a couple of examples of how to use the formula, and so you're not caught off guard, know that your interviewer may not use the exact phrase, tell me about yourself, but instead may use something along these lines. Tell me about your career to date. Could you give me some background about yourself? Please walk me through your resume. Or they might say, I've looked at your resume, but it would be great if you could tell me about yourself in your own words. Okay, so now that we've got all that out of the way, let's take a look at a couple of examples you can alter and adjust to work for you. So in this first example, to state who you are professionally, you might say something like, I'm a marketing professional with over 20 years of experience working primarily for Fortune 500 companies. To highlight your key achievements, you might say something like, right now I'm head of marketing for Megacore and I love it. Probably the thing I'm most proud of is developing a complete marketing rebrand for one of our products that was failing. This covered everything from the initial concept through to multi-channel advertising. The result was that sales of the product increased by 22%. So you can see here when you're describing the result, you're stating the outcome. Then you might go on to list another key achievement. So you might say, before my current role, I worked at even more Megacore. One of the things about working there was that I got to learn from some of the best marketers in the world. The highlight of my time here was getting promoted twice and receiving an award for marketing from the CEO. Now you go on to mention a personal passion. One thing you may not know about me is that I coach a kids' soccer team in my spare time. Now this may sound obvious, but communicating with 20 10-year-olds is challenging. Now what surprised me is how it's really helped sharpen up how I communicate professionally. And now I feel like I communicate with much greater clarity and impact. And finally, you want to explain why you're here today. So you might say something like, although I love my job, I'm looking to challenge myself and grow. And when I saw your position advertised, it immediately struck me as an exciting opportunity to do just that. And that is why I'm here today. So for our second example, we're looking at someone with a lot less experience than in the first example. Now, I'm not going to read through this example. So if you want to study it and adapt it, then pause the video now so you can read it at your own leisure. Finally, before we wrap up, one thing to say is that the slide here that you're looking at is available as a template to help you answer the Tell Me About Yourself question. You can download it from the companion article to this video. So in summary, Tell me about yourself is a question that is asked in one form or another in almost every job interview. And because it's asked so often, knowing how to answer it is really a key career skill. And it's a good idea to be prepared for it, especially as hiring managers make up their minds about you in the first few minutes of an interview. With our 4-step formula, you'll be able to answer this question confidently and in a way that highlights what's great about you, your career wins to date, and why they should hire you. Finally, remember to be authentic. Don't just say what you think the interviewer wants to hear. You have to be yourself. You might have to temper yourself a little bit, but it's still important to be yourself. It's your best chance of finding not just a job, but a job that's right for you. So that's it for this lesson. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.